Cheers, hello, and welcome to another episode of CAD Live. I think we are on episode 37. I think it's 37. I just did the thumbnail a little bit earlier, but I believe it's 37. So 37 episodes of this wonderful show. I hope you guys are having a great day. I hope that you are now sitting back, relaxed, and ready to enjoy today's broadcast. And what I'm going to be talking about today is the fact that dating coaches are liars. Because we hear this quite a lot, don't we, in the sphere? And obviously it's something that has been directed even at me, even at somebody, even at an honest to goodness British gentleman, a salt of the earth type character like me. Even these heinous accusations have been directed towards me at some points, which is, I know, pretty unbelievable. But this is the world we live in, ladies and gentlemen. This is the world that we live in. And so I thought it might be fun to have a bit of a conversation about dating coaches and some of the misconceptions around dating coaches. And I suppose more importantly than that, getting away from the more clickbaity sort of side to this, having just to think about how maybe dating coaches can help you and how a dating coach is not necessarily just this horrendous sort of scam artist, and possibly a dating coach with experience might be able to support you in your journey in dating and becoming more confident and becoming a better man, as they say. So that being said, welcome to everybody who is on the stream currently. We've got Faraway Place. Hello, sir. We've got Rollo K. Hello, sir. Also, and also equally, in fact, even more so, welcome to all the people who are watching this not live, who are watching this as a recording. Thank you ever so much for taking the time out. So listen, before I get into the meat and drink of this, and I have actually got 7 points that I'm going to go through, 7 fake news misconceptions about dating coaches and about this whole thing, which we'll have a chat about. I just wanted to say, firstly, do put any questions or comments that you've got into the chat, and we will deal with them throughout the show, because the point of this really is that you guys put your questions about dating and the dating marketplace and et cetera, into the chat, and we then hash them out here live on air. So please do that. Plus, of course, any comments that you've got on the material that's being presented. And the next thing to say is that I will be running a free webinar. I'm going to be doing a free private Zoom webinar next Monday. So that is, what date is that? Is that the 1st of December? Preparation is key, guys. No, it's the 30th of November. So next Monday, 30th of November, I'm going to be doing a free live webinar on Zoom. So it's going to be a private webinar. Okay. And we're going to be discussing game, and I need to hash this out, but I think what we're going to be doing is basically 15 things that I have learned over 15 years in the dating arena. Okay, so it's going to be 100% free. All you need to do is sign up for my email list. Okay, get on my email list, and then the details for that free webinar will get sent out to you, and the Zoom details will get sent out to you nearer the time. So that's Monday, 30th of November. We're going to be doing a free live webinar where we can go into lots of exciting stuff that probably can't talk about on YouTube. It's going to be awesome. Hope to see you there. So get on the email list. You'll see the link below. If you see the link below that says waiting list currently for CAD Academy, that is the same email list, so you can get on that. But I will put this I will put the link out below this video in the description. So sign up there, get on my email list for that free webinar on Monday, the 30th of November. All right. Anyway, that being said, so dating coaches, right? There is a lot of stick thrown at dating coaches by different people in the internet sphere. Okay. Some of those people are women who feel that dating coaches are encouraging men to perhaps view women in a way that they wouldn't like, or to be manipulative. Both of those are accusations that I, for one, vehemently reject. That's certainly not what I'm trying to do. That's certainly not my intention, but that sentiment is out there. Perhaps more surprisingly, when you think about it, is that there are also men out there who criticize dating coaches, who vilify these poor, honest, hardworking dating coaches who are just trying to make the world a better place. There are actually guys out there who will spend a lot of time criticizing dating coaches. Now, the first thing to say here really is I don't even really view myself primarily as a dating coach. Okay. Primarily, I'm a writer. I came into this whole thing just because I was writing a blog. I had a website. I was writing a blog about my experiences, my crazy experiences out there in the dating arena. And to be honest, my main goal with all of this is to continue to do that, is to write. And I guess now by doing these live streams, to pass on my thoughts and my observations and my experiences through the medium of video as well, live video. But, of course, as time goes on, you get guys asking questions. You get guys who say, oh, I read that blog post that you did. I read that article. I saw that video. I feel like we have had a similar journey with this stuff. I'm in this situation now. What do I do? And, of course, over time, that becomes something that you have to start to charge for, because you can't just help everybody, because you just spend your whole time helping guys with the individual issues that they have. And as much as you might want to do that, of course, we've all got busy lives, we've all got things to do, and we all need to earn a living as well. I mean, that's the truth of the matter. If somebody puts out a bunch of free content and they spend a lot of time creating that content and sharing their insights and sharing their observations and their realizations and all the rest of it, it's an exchange of value, and so people need to earn a living. So then it becomes a business, and of course then you get this avalanche of criticism from certain quarters about that, right? So I do not primarily regard myself as a dating coach. I do some dating coaching. My program, CAD Academy, which is out on the 1st of December to the 5th of December, is a group coaching program. It's dating coaching in a program form. So you get those videos, you get the 10 hours worth of video content, plus you get 10 private Zoom sessions with me and the rest of the guys and other speakers who will be bringing in. And that is a coaching program for sure. So yes, I am doing dating coaching, but I'm doing that really in response to demand, because there is a certain demand for my insights into this stuff, for good or for ill. And, that I'm monetizing that and I'm making that part of my work. Long term, is that going to be the thing that I'm doing until I'm 90 years old? Probably not, because as I said, my real ambition here, my real interest here is more in the writing side. And I suppose also the broadcasting side. Now we've got this live operation here. That's a kind of an aspect of it as well that I like and I'm interested in. My interest is in the communication of ideas, not necessarily just doing dating coaching for eternity. But at the moment, sure, it's my business. I'm making money from it. I'm making income from it. So fair enough. Okay. So in that capacity, I have a right, and you might say maybe even a duty to address this issue of dating coaches and et cetera, et cetera. So all that being said, by way of introduction, I want to go through some of the things that get said about dating coaches and some of the really like the misconceptions around this whole thing, and just give you my impressions on them. Now, you may disagree with these impressions. I'm sure plenty of people will, but this is my take on this stuff. Okay. And hopefully this will give you another side to the argument, and it might encourage you to think about the ways in which a dating coach or a dating coaching program like CAD Academy can actually be beneficial to you. All right. So dating coaches are liars. dating coaches are scam artists, etc., etc. Number one, a thing that gets brought up a lot in this space is the whole thing about receipts. Okay, the whole thing about sharing proof of ability. And let's be completely transparent here, fair enough. Because if you've got somebody who is putting themselves in front of you and saying, I know more about this thing than you do, so therefore I'm worth listening to, you should pay attention to me, then really you want to see some evidence for that being the case. It's a bit like an academic at a university. So academics at universities, they, generally speaking, have to publish. They have to publish their work in approved journals, and it has to be peer reviewed. Okay. And the reason for that is it looks good on the prospectus for the university, sure. But more importantly than that, it shows that the professors, the academics have skin in the game. Okay. They're actually out there doing it. And do you know what? I get it. I think that is fair enough. However, what you need to realize, what you need to understand is that there are certain constraints on this in terms of the way that we operate, and particularly the way that we operate with YouTube. Now, for myself, I was writing articles about this stuff for a long time. I was putting out content. I was on Twitter doing all this kind of stuff. And sure, a lot of guys would say that they like my content. And I wrote a book and people were buying the book. And I wrote a second book and people bought that. And I was writing for a big men's website for a number of years. And I was, people were loving the articles. I was getting loads and loads of guys saying, I identify, I can see, I like your take on all of this. So I was getting good feedback from the market. But of course, there were people who were saying, well, hang on a minute, Troy, where's your receipts? They were like, hang on a minute. This bloke's writing all this stuff, but how do we know he's actually doing it? And in a few years later, I met Tom Torero, who you guys will know as being the day game coach and the YouTuber and writer and everything else. And we chatted about it, and he basically extolled the virtue of making infills, filming infield footage and then putting it out there in order to, firstly, to show people that you are doing it, or that you, at least that you do have those abilities. And secondly, because it's a great teaching aid, because as much as we can sit here and talk theory, and that can be fun to do, really the best way to teach, particularly something like social interactions, which are by their nature a discipline that must be exercised in the field, the best way to teach that is by showing it. Okay. And one way of doing that is that you come and hang out with me and then we go out and I demonstrate in person. But of course, that's not very scalable. And so the next best thing is to create video content around that. Now, I then spent a period of time going out and filming a lot of interactions, okay, or a number of interactions, let's say. And those interactions, by and large, were really good. And I say really good, I don't mean that they were all successful interactions. Some of them were ended in rejection. Others of them ended in getting a contact detail or a phone number. Some of them ended in going on an instant date or something like that. And all of this was done, by the way, in a professional manner, filmed in a conscious and sensitive manner. No privacy was violated or anything like that. This was and also the line wasn't crossed in terms of any of these contacts. This was purely a professional thing in order to just to show guys, this is what you can do. You can walk up to somebody that you don't know and have a conversation with them, create a bit of a bond, create a bit of rapport, and then take things on to the next stage. Okay. So I created all those videos, and for a long time, or for a period of time, those videos were on YouTube. Those videos were on this channel. Okay. Now, then a number of different things happened. Okay. One of the things that happened was that there were a number of high profile cases in the UK where people were creating that kind of content and it wasn't really being viewed as in line with what the authorities wanted, and as well, not really in line with what the platform wanted. And of course, if you're going to be playing in somebody else's sandpit, if that makes sense, if you're going to be publishing content on a platform like YouTube, then you've got to play by the rules. And it became something that was rather looked down upon, let's say, by not only elements of society, but also those platforms as well. And so, and then stuff happened in my personal life as well. So I got into a relationship. I had a girlfriend, and this is difficult. This is a real issue for dating coaches and for content creators in this space, because you've got to kind of balance that personal life with your professional and public life. And of course, some girls have different opinions on this stuff. They have different tolerance levels. Some girls I can't imagine many girls are going to be absolutely fine with a dude just publishing a load of infield content on YouTube publicly. It's kind of, most girls I think are going to be resistant to that. Some girls, depending on the relationship, will tolerate it to a degree for a while, but in the end, it becomes a difficult thing to balance. So there was that going on in my personal life as well. And also on top of that, I was also trying to steer the content somewhat away from just a sort of, I never really wanted to be one of those content creators who was doing almost like prank videos where it's like, right, lads, I'm going to dress as a banana and go out and get a girl's phone number, or I'm just going to go and stop girls on unicycles and get their phone numbers, or go on an instant date with a girl dressed as Ronald McDonald or something like this. I never really wanted to be that sort of a content creator because all of that stuff's been done. And I wanted to take it more, this channel, I wanted to take it more in a live stream direction, actually, in more of a discursive direction where, yes, we're talking about dating and we're talking about dating techniques and how to improve your social skills and all of these things, but it's a little bit more cerebral. We're also looking at the wider issues around it. It's a bit more of a discussion. It's a little bit more like the thinking man's take on this stuff, rather than just being a dancing monkey for the camera. So, and I started to go more into charisma and research into charisma and reading a lot of academic work on charisma and so on and so forth. So I started to steer it at the channel in a slightly different direction anyway. So for all of those reasons, that content, that infill content, I took down from the channel. All right. However, that content does still exist, and it exists within CAD Academy. So when you join my course, CAD Academy, which you will be able to do, which you will be able to do on the 1st of December, going through until the 5th of December. When you join CAD Academy, you will have access to that infield content. Okay. And by the way, if you join my Patreon group as well at the VIP tier, which is currently only $25 a month, so it's a steal really, guys, you will also get access to that content. Now, the value of that content is firstly that you will understand that I have walked the walk as well as talked the talk. But more importantly than that, it, as I say, is great in terms of teaching. So we'll be able to break down that content and say, listen, this is why this worked. This is why this wasn't so good. This is why I said that. This is why she said that. This is why I stood like that, blah, 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 blah. And that, like I say, is one of the best ways to teach. And so you will get a lot of that. But it is, behind the paywall because of a number of prevailing conditions in the market. So as I said, firstly, you've got the YouTube situation. Secondly, you've got my personal status at the moment. Thirdly, you've got the societal implications of this and everything else. I mean, really, the only dude who's consistently putting out infields at the moment is James Tusk, and good on him for doing that, and I would encourage guys, look at James Tusk's material, because he is one of the few people, really, that is consistently putting out high quality infields. Okay, so if you're in the market for that, go and look at his stuff. If you want to see mine, as I say, it is available, but you will need to join CAD Academy or you will need to join my VIP members group. Now, I make no apology for that because really, when you think about it, a lot of these people who are calling for receipts, who are calling for proof, aren't actually that bothered about proof. They just want to find ways to kick you. Okay, they just want to find ways to try to debunk you or whatever. So it's not like it's a sincere kind of desire that's coming out of the marketplace. It is only people who are, basically don't have any particularly good intent in mind. All right, but and the other thing to say as well is that I've written hundreds of articles actually about this stuff over the years. Many of them are available in Renegade Dating Domination, which is my 2-volume collection of essays. A lot of them are still up on my website. A lot of them were formerly up on the website that I used to write for. There's a lot of material out there, and I've written 11 books also about this stuff, and those books range from just a basic book about dating to, and all of those books, by the way, contain anecdote. They contain stories of things that have happened to me. Now, people may say, oh man, it's all made up, whatever, but the reality is it's very, very hard to fabricate like all of that material for that length of time. Do you know what I mean? Like, I've been doing this for a number of years now, and it's really, really hard in writing, and particularly on video like this. It's really, really hard to sit there and just fabricate everything, right? I mean, how would you do that? How would you do that consistently? It just doesn't add up. But anyway, as I say, I agree to some extent with the receipts thing. And as I say, I have provided that. So I feel like I've got a clean slate there, if you like. I feel like I've got a tick in the box next to my name. And I certainly know the professional dating coaches who have seen my stuff have all said that it is very, very good. They rate it. So there should be no doubt about my ability in this area. I mean, that's just how it is. It shouldn't really be a question. The only reason it's ever a question is if people are seeking to try to tear you down for their own reasons. Okay. But listen, as I say, I provided the proof. So there it is. Shall we move on to the next point? I don't know. Is there anything else to say on that? Shall we move on to the next point? I'm sure I was going to say something else on that. There was definitely something else I wanted to say. Backland Bob says, in fairness, there's a lot of guys beating their chest about girls, 9s, 10s, conveniently no receipts, typically married, don't compete, you are legit. Most red pill is a joke. Oh, well, there was actually, fair point, and I get that, Bob. There was one point that I wanted to make, actually, though, which is kind of like the thing about relationships. The thing about being in a relationship is in this space is it's a double-edged sword. And by the way, Tom Torero has said, and I think he's right, actually, many, many people in this space who are content creators who are doing this kind of thing do actually have girlfriends, or they have secret girlfriends. I've always been pretty upfront. When I was gadding about and doing my thing, I was upfront about that. I wrote about it. I put out content about it. Since I've had a girlfriend, I've also talked about that. I haven't tried at any point to say to people, to pretend to people that I'm, living at that same nature of lifestyle that I was 2 years ago. I've always said to people, listen, I've got a girlfriend. She's cute. She's hot. We have a great time together. However, I've done 10,000 approaches. I've had all these experiences, so I can still qualify to talk about this stuff, right? It's not like I've gone into a monastery. But yeah, I mean, a lot of people in this space actually do have girlfriends or sort of, at least longish term relationships and things going on in the background. And on the one hand, that gets torn down by haters, because the haters will say, I heard haters saying this the other day. They'll say, you see, you know, these so-called dating coaches, you know, they all just settle down. They all just get in a relationship. And it's kind of like, well, yes, okay. I mean, not all of them do, but some do at various points in their lives, and they don't necessarily stay in relationships, but some go into relationships and then come out of them again. I mean, James Marshall from the Natural Lifestyles, he had a girlfriend for a period of time. I don't think he does now. I think he's single again. Things happen in people's lives. But you've got to remember, a lot of guys come to this space because they want to find a girlfriend. Actually, probably most guys really come to this space because they're just sort of like, well, I'm not doing very well in dating. I just like to, you know, maybe go out and meet a few girls, and then maybe, you know, I'd like to find a girl. I'd like to find a girlfriend. And yet the dating coach who has a girlfriend gets criticized for doing the thing that many of his potential customers would want to do themselves, you know. But then on the other hand, if you, but then they'll hit you from the other side, because then if you don't have a girlfriend and you'll say, I'm single, then you get people saying, oh, you see, you know, like, what's the point in listening to him? He can't even get a girl. He can't even get a woman. You know, what does he know? So they're going to criticize either way, right? And as I say, I mean, look, if you've been somebody who's been out there, you've been successful in dating, you've done a lot of approaches and things like that, that doesn't just disappear overnight. It's not like you find a girlfriend and then suddenly your brain gets wiped and you forget all of that. You've still got all the skills. You can still teach that stuff. And arguably, you're a better teacher, because then you can say, okay, and this is how I transition to a relationship, and this is how you handle a relationship, and all of those different things. I mean, like in my time in this space, because I've been in this space for about 15 years, I've had girlfriends and I've had periods of being single. And, you know, I've learned from both of those. But I don't think that, so I take your point about people in the red pill being married and not being in the dating arena. But I think also as well, you need to have a look at what they are selling, if you like, you know, what their sort of product is, because some of those people don't actually profess to be dating coaches. They're not actually really dating coaches. They are people they're commentators on the dating marketplace, which is sort of a different thing. So, you know, horses for courses, really. But anyway, that's my take on that. Now let's go to point 2. Dating coaches are just after the money. They're just there to earn the big bucks. Now, I mean, maybe in some cases that's true. Actually, though, I've met many of the big name dating coaches in this space. You know, I've hung out with them. I've traveled with them in some cases. I've spent time with them. I've winged with them. All of these good things. And are they just in it for the money? No, I don't think they are. Now, I know, obviously, somebody's going to clip that and just go, oh, look, he's just, you know, he's going to say that, isn't he? Of course. So, you know, you've got to take this as you want to take it. But my impression, and I'm not even talking about me now, I'm just talking about other people. I don't think that people are in it primarily for the money, partly because the money is not as good as you might think, or certainly not as good as perhaps it was in the glory days of the space, if you like, which I suppose were in the early 2000s. I mean, it's not like you can just set up a YouTube channel and suddenly you're banking, you know, thousands of dollars a day and it's all gravy, you know, you're on easy street. It's been said before, and I think this is correct, that actually, if you want to make money in online business, it's better to have a product or a service that's targeting women, because women spend more money than men. And we know statistically women spend more money than men. So as a male dating coach, think about the sell. Firstly, you've got to sell the idea that dating coaching can work, which I guess is part of the message of today. Secondly, you've got to sell the fact that it's not weird or kind of seedy or dodgy. And thirdly, you've got to sell the fact that you are the right person to be doing it. And, that's going to work with some customers. It's not going to work with all customers. Like, I appeal to some people. I don't appeal to everybody. Myron Gaines will appeal to some people. He's not going to appeal to everybody, etc. And yeah, so your pool is shrinking as you have to get over these obstacles, and then obviously you have to then do the work. You have to do the coaching or create the products or go and do the in-field coaching or whatever it is you're going to be doing. Write the books, make the videos, etc., etc. And as I say, there are people who are still making good money from this space. And listen, and I say thank you to everyone who subscribed to the channel and anyone who's bought one of my products this year, because I've made some pretty good money this year. But I'm not a multimillionaire. It's not that it's, you understand what I'm getting at here. It's not that the market is so amazing that all you have to do is put on a pair of sunglasses and go on the internet and say I'm a dating coach, and then people throw money at you. It's really not that good. Now, maybe back in the early 2000s, maybe it was pretty good, because I've heard of guys who were sort of operational at that time, and some of whom are still operational, who have made millions. I mean, RSD have made millions, and there are other people from that sort of period. Sure, millions and millions of dollars, and they've done very, very well out of it. Are those days still here? I don't see that they are, really. And that's probably one of the reasons why you see less people in the space. Okay. So, yes, of course. I mean, like, why does anyone do anything? Why does anyone do any sort of work? Well, they want to make money, of course, right? They want to create an income for themselves, and maybe they want to make additional money on top. Well, we live largely in a capitalist world. So what are you going to do? Complain? I mean, that's kind of how these things go. But to say that somebody goes into it only for the money, maybe there are people, but I haven't met them. I don't know them. What I would say actually is that most of the guys that I've met who are in this space are in it primarily because they were very driven as far as dating and meeting women was concerned, and sometimes to the point of being arguably addicted to it. And so then they made talking about it their job and creating content about it their job. I would say that is more the primary thing. And I don't think the notion of I just want to make a load of money really comes into it in the initial stages. I think it's more like, well, this is how I want my life to be. And is there a way that I can monetize this? Is there a way that I can just support myself doing it? But it's not a get rich quick scheme. And, believe you me, to do something like this, to build up something like this, it takes a lot of time. And it really just isn't this sort of like golden paradise where you just rock up and suddenly you're driving a Lambo. In my experience, anyway. I mean, I guess I'm doing it wrong. I don't know. But that is my thoughts on that. So, no, I don't believe that in the main, dating coaches are doing it just for the money. Okay, so number 3. So we've done proof and receipts. We've done, are they just in it for the money? Number 3, they wouldn't be doing it if they were any good. So this is an argument that gets put across a lot. Dating coaches, people that talk about dating or create content about dating, wouldn't be talking about it if they could actually do it. And this is the old argument that, yes, so Suleiman says, have you brought crypto? Yes, I have actually. I'm getting into it. I've been doing some stuff actually the last couple of weeks on it. It's something I'm very interested in. I'm not an expert yet in any sense, but yes, I think that is the way forward. Anyway, so you wouldn't be doing it if you were any good. So this is the old thing. a teacher teaches, somebody who can does, and somebody who can't teaches. It's that kind of idea. Is it true? I mean, look, there is truth in the fact that some of the best guys that I have known as far as dating and having success in this area is concerned, none of those guys talk about it online. None of those guys have YouTube channels or blogs or anything else. They do other things. Okay, so I've known guys who work in advertising who are very good. I know a guy who's unemployed who's very good. I know bankers, financiers who are very good. I've known barmen that were very good, club doormen, lots of different people who are very, very good in terms of dating, in terms of confidence, in terms of charisma. And no, they don't teach it. They don't do videos on it. They don't do content on it. They don't create courses. Well, so what? There is still a gap in the market for people to pass this information on. Now, for myself, if you look at some of the videos that I've done, if you look at certainly some of the stuff that I've written, particularly a book like How to Be an Arsehole, which is my book about dark triad relationships and things. Quite a lot of that book, I'm actually not talking about myself. I'm talking about what I've observed of the way that other guys that I've known have operated in their relationships. I remember also in Ibiza a few years ago, I wrote an article called something like Alpha Douchebag Game, right? And what it was, I'd observed this dude in a nightclub and he was kind of a Chad, and he was basically just marauding around the place, kind of like picking girls up and throwing them over his shoulder and all of this. And he was, doing very well. So I wrote an article about this dude, not because that's the way that I operate, but because I was able to observe this guy, draw out the lessons, and then create a piece of content which I believe and which I hope conveyed those lessons to the audience in a way that perhaps helped them. Now, that guy in the club in Ibiza, I'm sure doesn't have a dating blog. I'm sure he doesn't make videos about this stuff or have an email list or any of that kind of stuff. And he probably wouldn't be interested in it because he's probably doing something else. Fair enough. But should that prevent me from creating a piece of content that is firstly satisfying for myself because I find social observation interesting and I find, I love to write about it and then I love to share that content, and is also hopefully helpful in some way to the other people who are consuming it, right? I mean, yes, I would be the first to confess. Am I the best person at charisma and dating and seduction in the world? No, of course not. I mean, it would be ridiculous for me to claim that. And I don't think anybody watching this, I hope, and I don't think anybody who's followed any of my stuff would seriously believe that I'm saying that. I don't think that that's really the point. I mean, my story, if you like, is more, I went from, as I've said, somebody who was incredibly low self-esteem, somebody who couldn't get eye contact with people, somebody who was self-loathing and believed I was ugly and was pretty black pill actually in the way that I thought. And I pulled myself out of that and I became somebody who was able to actually socialize very well and to have a sort of prolific dating life in the way that if you'd have met me as a teenager, you would never have thought that I could have had. And so along that journey, I learned a lot of lessons, and those lessons really are what I distill into the stuff that I've written, and also CAD Academy. I mean, CAD Academy, which is the 10-hour video course plus those live webinars, which will take place in December, just before Christmas, really is the distillation of everything I've learned about this stuff in the last 15 years. And I suppose the underlying message is look, guys, if I can do it, then you certainly can. If somebody who's as much of a loser as I was can do it, then you can. And this is what I've learned, and these are the things that I can pass on to you, right? It is not saying and I'm certainly not saying, and I've never said, I am the best in the world, or that there aren't people who are better, and there aren't people who are better who are not creating content. I'm sure there are. And remember, it's in the end, it's up to the audience what the audience wants to do. I mean, if you don't want to watch my stuff, but you want to go and ask, Dave down the pub how he gets all the girls because he's, like the local Chad or whatever, then by all means do that. Like it always comes down to the same thing, doesn't it? It's demand and supply. I'm certainly not forcing anybody to join CAD Academy. I'm certainly not forcing anybody to buy my stuff. All I'm doing really is sharing my own observations and my own experiences and my own take on these things. And some people like that and some people don't. And that's kind of how it is. Okay. So, so this idea that, because look as well, I mean, as I say, I've got a friend who's kind of unemployed, really. He just sits around and doesn't do very much. And he's always been very successful. He's always been very successful in dating and with women. I don't think, from knowing him, he'd be very good actually at creating the content. I just don't. It's not his thing. I mean, for a start, he's not interested in it. But secondly, I just don't think he'd be very good. I think some people have a talent for breaking this stuff down and for putting it across in a way that's entertaining and is engaging and is hopefully helpful. And I believe that I do. Some would disagree, and that's fine. Others do agree, and thank you very much for that. I think I do. I think I've got something to share. I know my story. I know the life that I've led. I know the successes that I've had. I know the barriers that I've had to go through. And that's the stuff I'm sharing, ultimately, And if you relate, then you relate. Great. Thank you. Welcome. If you don't relate, that's cool, man. It's cool. Do what you need to do. Follow somebody else. Go and speak to Dave at the bar. Do what you need to do. It's a free country. Many countries are free. Yeah. So that's my take on that thing about if they were any good, would they be doing it? Well, I get the sentiment, but it doesn't always really work like that, And also as well, just one final thing on that. Just because somebody is creating content on it, it doesn't logically follow that they're not any good. Like it works the other way around as well. It's perfectly possible for somebody to be pretty good at something and also decide to teach it. It's a bit like a gym instructor or a fitness instructor. I've seen fitness instructors at the gym who are not ripped, who are not yoked. Well, they're ripped, maybe they're ripped, but they're not yoked. They're not massive. And they are training guys who are much bigger than them. Okay. And, I saw a program about the boxer. What's his name? Not Colin McGregor, the other dude. British boxer. You know who I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about. Come back to me in a second. It's brain fog. I saw a documentary about this boxer, and he was training with this dude, and they went to Vegas and they were training together and blah, blah, blah. And there's no way. Yeah, not Anthony Joshua. No, there's no way that the dude that he's training with was as good as he was. There's no way that the trainer was as good a boxer as he was. But he's still training him. He's still able to add something to the mix. He's still able to he's still able to help the guy improve. Yes, Tyson Fury. Thank you. So there's no way that Tyson Fury's boxing trainer, when he had that younger guy for a while, was as good as Tyson Fury, but he still used him to train. Okay. So, but by the same token, that boxing trainer that Tyson Fury had is probably better than many of us are on here. So there are different levels to these things. Whether somebody is at the top or not is always debatable. I mean, I'm sure I'm much better in dating scenarios than many guys, and I'm sure there are other guys who are more proficient than me as well. The key question is, do I have something, and does the dating coach, not just me, but any dating coach, have something to contribute or not? Is he able to talk about the material? Is he able to teach the material in a way that's helpful? And if he is for you, then that's great. If not, unsubscribe, whatever, it's fine. So, okay, so number 4 is all dating coaches are scam artists. Okay, and we've kind of covered this already, really, and throughout this thing, really. But the idea that all dating coaches are scam artists, they're just scamming money. Now, for me, I think this is pretty straightforward, really. I mean, like, if they're selling you a product, is the product what it says it is? Okay, so people will say, oh yeah, like they're scamming. It's all a scam, whatever. But what do they really mean by that? I mean, like, if I say to you, all right, enroll on CAD Academy, and it comes out the 1st to the 5th of December. It's a 10-hour video course where I talk about the current sexual marketplace, where I talk about charisma. I go in depth. These are the sections. I go in depth about charisma. I go in depth into mindsets. I go in depth into differentiation. And then I go in depth into game and how to do game, how to structure an interaction, and so on and so forth. So it's 10 hours worth of video. And then on top of that, you get 3 of my books, plus you get those demonstration videos as well, of which there are 12, plus you get the 10 live private Zoom calls. Okay. And all of that is $497. So if I say that, and then you enroll on the program, which I hope you do, please get on the email list below. It's capped at 100 people, by the way, this time. So you will need to hurry when we open 1st of December. But if I say all of that, and then you purchase, and then you get like a 5-minute video or something, then yeah, sure, 100%, that is a scam. But that's certainly not what I'm doing. And I have testimonials to prove that, because I have guys who've been through the program before very successfully, who've got a ton out of it, and whose dating lives have transformed as a result of it. Okay. But a scam is basically telling somebody that you're going to sell them one thing, and then them, you're not delivering that. You're not giving that. Now, actually, I've worked very, very, very hard to put CAD Academy together, to film it, to plan it, to write it, to, not to mention all of the life experience that went into the content, plus doing those live webinars as well. I mean, 2 hours a day, 2 hours per session, twice a day. It's a lot of work, plus doing my standard stuff. I mean, there's a lot of work that goes into this stuff, plus the books that I've written over a long period of time, plus, creating that infill content, et cetera, right? So there's a lot of work here. And to say this is something like that is a scam, and again, I'm not just talking about me here, I'm talking about coaches in general. To say it's a scam is, quite frankly, unacceptable, because something like that is not a scam. Now, there is then the further question, I suppose, of, well, okay, but fundamentally, yes, Ryan says calling people scammers is an excuse for being broke. 100%. I suppose fundamentally, the point is, though, they will say, yes, but does it make you, does it do what it says on the tin? Does it make you good with women, or better with women? Well, in the end, you have to look at the testimonials. I mean, my testimonials are very, very, very good, because, like I say, I put a ton of work into that course. It teaches everything. It basically teaches my transformation. So when I went from 0 to hero, if you like, it teaches that same transformation that I went through. And I know, because this is my lived experience, I know that my dating life transformed. And all I'm doing, as I say, within that course is passing that stuff on. And it works for other guys as well. Now, I'm not saying that if you are the 5'2" janitor who comes on here sometimes in comments, that you are going to get the same stellar results that the 6'4" Chad is going to get, right? We all have to appreciate we all come into this stuff at different levels. Okay, looks do matter. You know, if you're incredibly good looking and you come onto CAD Academy and you get this stuff down, yeah, you probably are going to do better than if you're very ugly and or very short or whatever, and you come onto CAD Academy and you do it. Like the reality of life is that we all come in at different levels to this stuff, and you know, some people are going to do better than others. Life isn't fair. However, what is really, really important is that you can improve. You can go from 1 to 2. You can go from 2 to 3. You can go from 3 to 4. Okay. There are things that you can do. And this is the whole thing about dating coaching, because dating coaching as well comes in different forms. You might read articles on the internet, or you might have a consultation with somebody, or you might watch videos or whatever. And it certainly helped me. You know, it certainly helped me because I read a lot of material, and the coaching that was delivered within those articles helped me really immeasurably to transform my social life, to transform my dating life. So, you know, to call something a scam and then to say, I mean, like, there is no doubt that there are likely, if you're not happy with your dating life, there are likely things that you're doing wrong at the moment. And there are other things that you could be doing that would make things better for you. Okay? Now, that's not to say that any of these things are a silver bullet or a miracle cure, or, you know, it's going to make you into Dan Bilzerian overnight. But I'm certainly not claiming that. And I don't believe that anybody that I work with claims that about their programs or their books or anything else. So I think this talk about scamming is, as I say, unacceptable, really, particularly when people have put a lot of work into their material, into their programs, and so on and so forth. Okay. And well, we'll come on to actually the next question. Sorry, the next point being number 5, that the dating coach doesn't care about the people that he's serving. And that is absolutely not true. That's absolutely not the case, right? Because, of course, there's an element of self-interest in this. I mean, like but like any job, there's an element of self-interest. I mean, a guy becomes a doctor, all right? And yes, he's becoming a doctor to help other people, but there's a bit of it, you know, he wants to become a doctor because it's a good job, because it's a solid job. The money is good. If you're a surgeon, that supposedly impresses the ladies, etc., etc., etc. So there is always an element of self-interest in anything. And of course, indeed, there is in dating coaching and, you know, being on YouTube and doing content creation and stuff like that, for sure. But to say that there is no altruism in it is not true. And actually, again, the guys that I've met, and I'm thinking now of 3, 4, 5 of some of the most prominent dating coaches that you will have heard of, that I've met personally and hung out with. In conversation with those guys, all of those guys are very, very concerned about their audience, and they feel very, very bad for guys who are having difficulties in this area. And in many cases, they know what it was like to have difficulties, because that's where they came from. And certainly that's the case with me. And they want to pass on a bit of that advice that they wish they would have had back in the day when they were younger. You know, I mean, that's the case for me, because I had none of this stuff when I was 18, when I was 19. There was none of this stuff. I had nothing. Okay. And I was in a very bad way. As I've said before, I was in black pill despair. I was, you know, suicidal at times, etc., etc. And if I'd have had access to a bit of this information, then I believe I would have been able to pull myself out of that in a way that, unfortunately, I wasn't able to at that time. So, yeah, 100%. You know, there are differing objectives for doing anything in life. But the reason that I go live, and I'm live for over an hour most days, and sometimes an hour and a half and even longer, and I put out a ton of free content, is because I hope that it resonates with people, and I hope that it can help people, some people, And like I say, my stuff's not for everybody. Not everyone's going to resonate with me. Some people are, some people aren't. That's fine. Everybody has free choice to do what they want to do. You can follow somebody else, or you don't have to follow any of it. It's fine. But to say that there is no element of wanting to help people is false and frankly very unfair, when actually most of the guys in this space that I know, you could joke about it, and there's a lot of pantomime and backwards and forwards in the space. But actually, most of the guys I know who do this stuff work very, very hard. They produce content and products and books and so on that are high quality. They are very, very concerned about quality, and they do it, yes, because it's a job, but also because they hope that they can help other people to prevent falling into some of the pitfalls that they've fallen into. And as I say, that's certainly the case for me. And believe you me, I've fallen into a ton of pitfalls. So we've got a load of content left to go, I can tell you. All right, we're getting there now. So number 6. All right, I'm not going to dwell on this because it's we've done this to death. But number 6, the belief that the dating coach can't help you unless you're tall and good looking. As I say, we've talked about this so much that I don't really, and we're coming up on the hour anyway, so I don't want to talk about this for hours. But I'll just reiterate what I said before, which is that we all come at this from different levels. Okay, if you get 2 guys who come to the training program or whatever, and one of them is really tall and really good looking and ripped and all the rest of it, and the other one isn't, and the first guy understands the principles. He takes on board about dark triad, bad boy stuff. He takes on board about differentiation, radical differentiation, standing out from the crowds, being larger than life. He understands game dynamics, game theory, and so on and so forth. Then, all things being equal, that guy is likely to do better than the other dude who is less good looking, because looks matter. We need to get one of those like Myron type things. And so looks matter, because, all of these dirtbags who try to gaslight us will claim that we say that looks don't matter. But of course, looks matter. Yeah, absolutely. So, but within that, like I said, this isn't about like I've never gone into this and expected that if I just read a few books and watched a few videos and did a few programs, I would suddenly be the world's greatest Casanova. Do you know what I mean? And I don't think anyone's ever really sold that to me. I wouldn't have fallen for that if they had. But what did happen for me was that my dating life and my results were exponentially improved by learning about social dynamics, by learning about the way that things work. And yeah, and I'm very grateful for that. And I hope that I can pass a bit of that on. So, the tall, good looking thing is a bit of a red herring, really. Yes, obviously it helps. But even if you aren't tall and good looking, what are you going to do? You want to sit around and complain, or do you want to go out and try to make the best of things for yourself, And then number 7, the final point, the final fake news misconception about dating coaches that gets talked about sometimes, and this is a bit of a comedy one. There is the misconception that dating coaches who are teaching dating skills to guys are all gay. Okay? Dating coaches are all gay. All of them. Just look at them. Look at them. They're all gay. Look at those shades he's wearing. Look at those shirts. Bloody, bloody, blah. This is a conspiracy theory, and it's very, very silly. And it's silly for a number of reasons, but perhaps the most salient reason that it's very silly is what I said before. The marketplace is not so buoyant. The marketplace for selling coaching programs, and books and one-to-one coaching sessions to guys looking to get good with girls is not so great. It's not such an amazing, wonderful marketplace that you are going to get a bunch of gay guys who want to come into that marketplace and get a piece of the action. It's just like it just makes literally zero sense. Okay, there are far easier ways to make money. There are far easier ways that people can earn cash online than making videos and writing books about heterosexual dating. If you're not heterosexual, it would be so stupid for any gay guy to want to do that, you know, and quite frankly, I don't know of any gay guy who would want to spend hours and hours creating content about dating women. Because remember, like I said before, the main reason actually that most people come into this is because they are semi-addicted to getting good with dating girls. That's the reason that most people get into this in the first place. That's kind of why I got into it in the first place, really, because I was doing it and I wanted to, you know, I wanted to write about it. You know, I wanted to make content about it. So it's a bit of a passion project, really, for people. That's why a lot of these guys get into it and become dating coaches. And, you know, if you're not even dating women, then why would you want to, you know, you just wouldn't want to do it. It's a lot of work talking about something you're not even into yourself for uncertain profits, and profits that really, as I say, aren't as good as people seem to think. Not anymore, anyway. You know, like I said, you know, it's not as easy just to rock up on YouTube and go, right, I'm a dating coach. Come on, guys, send me your money kind of thing. I mean, it takes a lot of work to get to a level where you're making an income from it. And you've got to kind of be passionate about the subject matter, because if you weren't passionate about the subject matter, it's kind of going to come through. So all of this is very, very silly. And quite frankly, the people that are promulgating such ideas really just need to grow up, because it's just so absurd and so stupid, really, to be spreading that. And it's just a distraction, really, from the more serious work that's being done to try to help people, you know. So yeah, that's my thought on that. That's obviously nonsense. I'm not saying there is no closeted dating coach, but I think I just can't understand why anybody would do that. It's just it makes no sense to me whatsoever. You know, I think that the self-respecting gay dude would be much happier and probably more profitable just doing something else, you know, creating a business around something else, right? Because like I say, you know, talk about dating girls and all that kind of stuff is not, it's just not the big money spit. It's not 2004 anymore. Do you know what I mean? It's not like you can do a boot camp and suddenly you've got 30, 40, 50 guys all paying $1,000, you know, one weekend. It's not like that anymore, you know? So yeah, it's just a nonsense. And, you know, aside from the fact that there's no evidence for it anyway, or there's no credible evidence for it anyway, it is just very, very stupid. And as I say, those people should just grow up and, well, I was going to say grow a pair, but, you know, that's probably not likely, but you know what I'm saying. So we've been through 7 misconceptions around dating coaches. I'll just recap them. So the first one is around proof and receipts, which I've certainly shared myself, and many of the guys that I work with, most of the guys that I've worked with have as well. Number 2 is that dating coaches are just after the money. And like I said, they're not, and the money isn't always that great anyway. Number 3, they wouldn't be doing it if they were any good. Well, how do you? Maybe they would. You know, most guys in this space are very good. You know, they've got results and they've got proven results, and they teach it. It's not to say that there aren't dudes out there who aren't better, but they're not teachers, or they don't want to do it for a job. So, you know, what are you going to do? And as we've said, you know, if you look at the example of boxing, the coach doesn't need to be a world professional himself. He can still help the world professional get to that next level. Anyway, number 4, they're all scam artists. Well, no, that's not true. Most people in this space, myself included, work very hard on their products. They're very diligent about it. They spend a hell of a lot of time, as well as putting out a ton of free content also, where they're not getting any money at all. I mean, as well for me, I mean, bear in mind, this channel isn't even monetized. So I'm not even getting super chats or anything here. You can contribute on Streamlabs though if you want. There's a link in the description. But seriously, I'm not getting super chats. I'm sitting here. I mean, it's over an hour now. I've been sitting here talking about this stuff. I'm not getting paid for it. I mean, of course, I'm drawing attention to myself and to my brand, and through that inadvertently, I get paid. And please do join CAD Academy. It's going to be open on the 1st of December to the 5th of December. And if you want to support also, you can buy my collection of books. Got 11 books. It's called Renegade Dating Blueprint. You can grab that below. But I'm not getting paid for this. I'm putting out free content. Been putting out free content every day over this, every working day over this month, and for many years. And there you go. So it's to call it a scam is quite frankly just insulting, and it's certainly not the case with any of the guys I work for anyway, who are very hardworking and diligent and deliver. And this is the important thing. If they sell a product or they sell a book, they deliver on what they said they were going to deliver on. All right. Number 5, don't care about guys. That's not true. That's certainly not true for myself. And it's certainly not true for anybody that I work with. I mean, look at someone like John MLD. He spends hours and hours and hours in those private webinars with those guys, helping them to level up. Okay. To say that somebody like him doesn't care is, again, frankly, an insult to somebody who is, really putting his heart and soul into this thing and taking it to another level. Number 6, that they can't help you unless you're tall and good looking. Well, we've been through that before, so we don't need to reiterate, but everybody can be helped. Everybody can improve for sure. There are nobody's saying life is fair. Nobody's saying, you're going to be meeting Victoria's Secret supermodels if you are, coming at this from a lower baseline, but you can certainly improve your lot and your prospects for sure. That's the case for pretty much everybody, I would say. And finally, the ridiculous conspiracy theory assertion that all dating coaches are gay is just laughable. And, not only is there no tenable evidence for it, but also it would just be why would that even be the case? On what planet would there be this cartel of secretly gay dating coaches talking about meeting women I mean, it's just mind-blowingly stupid. It's like, what's that? Is it the National Enquirer? It's like that level of crazy. So yeah, but I thought I'd include that one as a joke at the end. So that's it really. So those are my thoughts on some of the main things about dating coaches being a bunch of scamming liars. And it just leaves me to say, please join CAD Academy on the 1st of December. You've got to the 1st to the 5th of December to join the program. 10 hours worth of in-depth video training, plus 3 of my books, plus those in-field demonstration videos, plus 10 private Zoom webinars as well. And as a special treat for Black Friday, what I'm going to be doing, and I say Black Friday, this is actually going to take place on Monday, the 30th of November, next Monday, but I will be doing a free live webinar as well. So in order to be a part of that webinar, it's going to be capped at a certain number of guys. It's going to go out on the Monday evening. I'll organize the time in due course. Get onto my email list. So you'll see that link below. It basically says the waiting list for CAD Academy. Get onto that and you will get onto the list for the free webinar also. So all of that being said, what time are we on now? We've got a few minutes left. I'm sorry, I haven't really gone through the comments so much today, but what are people saying here? Adam says, James hasn't posted from Mexico lately. I think he might be in the boot of a black Mercedes somewhere. Well, let's hope not. The last time I heard from him, he's having a really good time over there. So, yeah, and, you know, all good. Backland Bob says marriage data codes are armchair QBs. Old Bundy, like, yeah, well, but then on the other hand, like you've also, I mean, someone like, I don't know, let's say Paul Janker, for example. I mean, so like Paul Janker, a friend of mine, he's married, he's got a daughter, whatever. One of the most successful dating coaches of the early 2000s, clearly a guy with a lot of knowledge, clearly a guy who's talked the talk. Sorry, who's walked the walk as well as talking the talk. Is he no longer qualified to talk about it because he's married? I don't believe that, And also as well, what you have to bear in mind is a lot of dudes come to this space because they want to get married or they just want to meet a nice girl and have a girlfriend. So in a way, having experience of relationships as well actually adds to one's expertise in this space, because it's not just about, and people will throw this as an accusation at dating coaches, say, oh, it's just about, meeting some girl in a club and whatever, but what about a relationship? And it's a bit like, well, yeah. So, people who've been in relationships, they can talk to that aspect of it as well, which is valuable for guys. So, Menergetic Motivation says he's got some pushback over his business. I'm starting a business to teach men how to get laid, but many of the SJWs in Chicago have expressed their undying hatred for me. Lol. Well, every business has challenges. Every business has pushback in different ways. I had difficulty pronouncing this yesterday, sir, but Chrisijipu Martin says, Rollo being married doesn't make his arguments flawed. This application of ad hominems is problematic. I agree with that. I do agree with that. And particularly someone like Rollo, because the thing about Rollo is he's not even a dating coach. I mean, people are always sort of like, I see people on Twitter and things going like, oh, Rollo Tomasi, when did he last go and chat up a girl? And it's a bit like, well, he's not even a dating coach. He's not even selling himself as a dating coach. His next book is about religion, religion and intersexual dynamics. Okay. It's just absurd that as a guy in his 50s that he still needs to be running around the nightclub, or the Cancun pool party even, chatting up girls in order to validate his points. It makes no sense at all. It makes a bit more sense if somebody's selling, dating solutions. But even then, if that person has had decent experience in the past, then that's still valid. It's not like it gets wiped. It's not like your memory circuits get wiped as soon as you go into a relationship. And Backland Bob says, I watch Modern Life and Troy. I like Pick Up, I Want Results, not pseudoscience. Troy Francis is solid. Thank you very much. Sketch Blitz says, Troy is the man. Love your content. You're making incredible effects on so many men's lives. Thank you. Thank you, sir. It means a lot to hear that. Thank you very much. Braver Leach says, I think honestly, every free video the guys on Rule Zero have is enough to improve your dating life tenfold. Thank you very much. Absolutely. And this is the thing. I mean, you don't even need to buy the products. You don't even need to buy the books. Like a lot of stuff is just within the videos, or you can just watch these streams and understand a lot of what I'm teaching. I mean, obviously not everything, because I'm not giving everything away, and it's much more structured, and it's a proper course within CAD Academy. But, there's a load of free content that we all do. And I to call that a scam or to call it, you don't care about guys, really disingenuous, What else have we got here? Backland Bob says, the other guy I like is Aaron Clary, solid actionable advice. Yep, 100%. And I'm actually going to be on his channel this week, I think, sometime, probably Friday. So watch this space on that. He's a great guy for sure. And I mean, listen, he's, his take is somewhat different. He's an economist. He talks about the sort of the dating marketplace. He's not out in the field. you know, he's got his partner and he's doing his thing, you know, fine. I mean, whatever. He still gives great advice. Still got great insights. Okay. Bob says, any red pill fiction plans? You're a good writer. The men can use it. Maybe a movie, lol. Well, I'm doing a novel. I'm supposed to be doing a novel, which I keep procrastinating on. So I think after CAD Academy is done, I really need to just be like, right, I'm going to crack on, get on with this, get it done. The outline is all planned and everything. So yeah, absolutely. Going to be doing some fiction for sure. So that'll be probably, I guess, next year now, unfortunately. But Maradona was 5'3". I think it's over for him. Absolutely over, definitely. He says, Stealth says, any tips for seeding the pool and pulling back to her place? I think you've got to be, well, just be upfront about it. Just be like, oh, you know, you should invite me around to your place. I want to see what your cooking skills are like. Jokingly, of course, I'm not being patriarchal here. As a joke, a light-hearted way. Also like, oh, you live in XYZ area. I've always wanted to check it out around there. You should invite me around sometime. I would be cheekily suggestive, sort of pushing it in that direction and see how she reacts. And often she will, you know, she'll react well. So that's how I do it. Cool. Okay. Look, I really now have to get going because I've got to do another call in a few minutes' time. But thanks everybody for tuning in. Thanks Backland Bob. Thanks CK. Thanks Rollo K. Mr. Jerin again. Thank you, Deus Volt. Anon. Who else is on here? Fletcher. All of you guys, thanks ever so much. Mr. Chrissy Jupu Martin, thank you. AC from Casey. Etc. Thanks everybody for tuning in. It's been awesome as usual. As I say, get on that waiting list. Get on the email list below. It says waiting list for CAD Academy in the description below. Get onto that, right? You will get invited. That will give you all the information on CAD Academy as it gets seeded out, which is coming up, as I say, 1st of December to the 5th of December. But also, you will be allowed to come along, or you'll be able, rather, sorry, to come along to the free webinar I'm going to be doing on Monday, the 20th of November as well. All right. And that's going to be free content. It's going to be on Zoom. So it's going to be a private session. We're going to loads of different stuff. It's going to be amazing. All about game, all about dating, intersexual dynamics, and so on and so forth. So yeah, get involved, get onto that waiting list, and you will receive information on that very soon. Cool. All right, guys. Thank you ever so much for tuning in. Hit subscribe. Give me a like. Give me a comment. Give me everything else. Give me anything, whatever. Just help me to spread the love. Help me to boost the algorithm and all of that good stuff. I'll see you guys again very soon. I'll be back tomorrow, same time.